Thank you for such a wonderful introduction. I always am bragging to my friends about what it's like to have such humane and intelligent editors as I have in Alan Thomas and Randy Patillos. And well, I thought I would read some new poems and then read a few poems from Columbarium. So I'll just begin with this poem, Titus. It takes a while to notice the star-shaped blight of white flecked red in the black fur, a hard bite there in the cat's back, but it can be inferred from the effort it costs him to move first stiffly, then slipped like a stripped gear from the rug to the sill to the threshold of the door where he stops, slinking back from his own motion as if the world there hurts and hurts him. It's like the pain the sun brings after a deep sleep. At least that's what we think, but too it took a while to notice anything was wrong. And then we turned to stars before we saw the truth. And in that time, the time between noticing him, the usual cat in his usual place, on the edge of things in their usual places, and noticing something terrible had happened. Where were we, and what do we overlook when we say, as we do, that state is bliss? When I'm crying, I'm not speaking. Barred back from the glare, gone gripped along the rail, run down, running from or toward, no matter, no mind, never hell for leather, scraped across night's increment, torn from the sedge, the salvage, shorn at the edge, forlorn, forewarned, they said, hefting, waxed, breached, waning, wine needling, half heard, then hearing, help winded in the wind, gone, the words grip, ground to a halt. When I'm speaking, I'm not crying. The personal is artificially political, just as the political is artificially personal. Force must be countered with force, hence only good can counter the impulse to revenge. When the Furies backed down, they didn't know the jury had been rigged. Nevertheless, it was better that they backed down. Democracy and art are not experiments. The state that kills from the standpoint of abstraction has a greater guilt to bear than a murderer who kills from the standpoint of particularity. War profiteering has many means, including the sale of poems against war. Those who destroy the garden and poison the well think that streets will be named for them in the future. Mountains live longer than trees, trees live longer than flowers, and flowers live longer than hungry children. What we do not know deserves sanctification more than what we do know. The most dangerous people are bored. The world is with end. When I'm thinking, I'm not speaking. The Lost Colony. They never learned to tell one bird from another, a shrub from a weedy sapling, not even if a berry had ripened into poison, or when the season had forced a flower's bloom. And yet they drew endless distinctions between colors and polish and coarseness of weave, and would not let their daughters marry out. They burned things up or wore them down, had ranks and staff and lecterns, machines that moved them from place to place, bright jewels and playing cards. They didn't keep their children, though they gave them tests and fed them. They were known for meticulous records, for their trophies and peeling stars. They were old when they could have been young, and young when they could have been old. They carved a strange word in a tree, Croatoan, and a track in the dust of Mars. Crows go out in pairs. At dusk as the crow flies. 2 or 4 a god, it doesn't matter. An echo also ends. Now, I've never read this poem to an audience before. This is a dialogue between the soul and the body, and I won't say soul, body, like that. I'll just read the parts, and you can figure out which is which. It's set in the Church of San Clemente in Rome, and there's some allusions to that. Dialogue in San Clemente. When the world was too hot to touch, you carried me into the crypt, where the bulls had been slain, a labyrinth of bricks weaving down below the human god. There was my match in limbo, circled by nowhere's cloud. That was the August, the end of the moon's long draw and tumult, the force of my own last hold over you and your first flight and dream. Limbo was a fresco and blameless. I felt stuck fast to the keyhole, a speck in the eye, a splinter, this clenching cramp, a limp, a blister, all in all sore and fester, deaf to regret, you always chide me. In truth, I rarely give you a thought. I'm really not a drape around a promise. You can try to fill me with your flitting light, but I'm water all the way through. Your shoreline at your service, the cat's last sack, a ruin. Pity has a swerve when it's real. All you can think of is the climate of your thinking, and that's not thinking at all. Without you, I'd be raw in the weather. My thanks for that, I'm not complaining. If I could wander as you do, if I could uproot and fly, a sewer could serve as a wishing well, a mine yield stars that shield a mine. Little wonder there's little wonder then. I'll wait here under the stairs. By day I'll sweep them up and down, by night I'll weep beneath them. No voice, no light. Are we thrown to the beasts, or is it that they once were thrown to us? I climbed the same stairs and came back down, and what I saw remains my firmament. What knowledge, what knowing then bars us from what fear? I was glad the bright day when we met. Will I be twice as glad in darkness when we're parted? This is a spring poem. 3 geese. Snow thaw, red haze, dusk bent harvest, the wild geese vying in one line wavering, then fast down, close and closer, thwacking air over the creek bed, one splash, splash of another splash and another, glide and gliding, 3 circles rippling out in sequence, swelling, receding, on the swirl dark water coursing fast through sliding silts of snow. March now, thaw and glow silent out of last light, red haze promise over maples, oaks, and poplars. Arrowhead. Perfect flint, we'd pry you up out of the clod when we built a hut or dug for potatoes at the end of summer. You were not a fossil leaf or chip of bark or what we thought, but part of a world drawn from rock with rock, sharp enough to penetrate fur or hide or hated flesh and pin it back to earth. Power pulsed radiant from every grain of you, in and out and through what persisted there unyielding, one small cliff fall backing another, an exposed spine like a hinge sloping down to an abyss. It was time that had been honed by a chisel made of chisel, pure time, aboriginal, and vanished. What were we doing there? Where were we going, with not a thing to our name, the weight of this? Now, I'd like to read a series of poems. I've been commissioned with my colleague Jim Primosh to write a song cycle for the Chicago Symphony. And I made a funny mistake this summer. I thought that it was an alto cycle. And I wrote this cycle of poems based on children's games, but in fact it's a baritone cycle. So I'm back to the drawing board, but at least I will try to read these poems in Chicago, and they'll have some Chicago life. Something is coming toward us, something filling the white air. You can hear it. Crescent moon, old moon, harvest, a silver boat, the horned moon, like a gold ring snapped in two. Close your eyes before you look. It is dreaming you. A silver boat in a black dock. Your eye can undo a knot. Your eye can see what isn't there. Hand or eye or mouth. Things get worse and then they get better. A slice, a sliver, a paring. The harvest is old. The green shoots twist in the wind. It dreams of daylight and the last red, like a gold ring snapped in two like an end. Old moon, our ending, what's done is done, undone. Old moon tipping over, the tilt too far, too near. Old moon heap of trouble, the green shoots break and wither. The wind does not break or wither. A silver boat in a black dock, with only your eye undo the knot. Tag. Before you touch me, I will run. If I touch you, you must stop. If I lose you, we won't stop and must run on as two forever. Try to touch the larch's bark, try to call it home. If you go beyond the grass, you'll have no voice, you'll have no one. Beyond the grass, time stops. Try to touch the larch's bark, try to touch me, we can stop. We can try to call it home. Red Rover, why can't you come over? Toward morning, toward evening, why not let go? And come over, why can't you come over? Red Rover, decider, permitter, Red Rover, why won't you let go? King of the Hill. What looked like a statue held a shove. Even so, it was hard not to want to run full throttle straight into the arms, the very harm of it. Some thought the figure at the top was of another kin or kind, that only blind force would send him over. Others swore he would give or bend, that something like love was standing there and could be swayed to reason or sweetness. A considered push might do him in. The view from below was blocked by distance and the relentless glare of the sun. So human to feel the dominion of the sun as a yoke, to learn that radiance will shove a gaze back to the ground. The reason for submission disappears. It's just a fact of the here below, like thinking there's a harmless form of harm. Time and time again, the figure on the hill swore he would never relent, that it was his want or whim to stay there, impervious to love or hate. Our path was made straight by that stubbornness, just a final push, we thought, but we were blind to the possibilities and to what was waiting at the top. Once we began the game, it seemed impossible to stop caring and turn to something else. The sun was so hot, the voices drew us on, the blind will of a crowd bore down. Our mother saw the harm in it and called us back. Our fathers swore we couldn't go. The old ones had felt the shove and pull of it themselves, but forgot the way a want grows to desire. The path was straight, as clear as day. With a push, they tried to lead us on to reason. But we were caught in a world far below, that place where thought grows light as light and love. There were flowers in the meadow, buttercups and love lies bleeding, milkweed pods with down bursting from their tops, daisies by whose petals lovers swore to love forever, and thorns left beneath the leafy blind of the thistles. Beauty was a mask for harm, and everything under the sun had the power to draw us, or just the same push us away. Does the weed, too, feel the deep want of replacement, the need to go straight for the root, then draw it out from below there in the dark earth's hush, over and over? Why look for a human reason when nature has a reason of its own? The saints said the love of a neighbor is really love for love itself. The soul reaches out to the good. In the blind acceptance of those about her, she makes a final push toward the divine. Souls hover about and above one another. In the one of connection, a promise forsworn, and for a time can put all forms of harm aside. It's vital, this straightforward link between them, as necessary as sunlight or water. In such a world, the top has no added value. The place to be is here below. The thinker, too, looked below the surface, to the master's power and the servant's reason. It was the master who was blind to history. Once he resisted the push toward death, nothing else could harm him, and at that point no more want could arise. The servant swore he couldn't care less, giving reality a shove. But the truth of his work stood there in the sunlight, persistence as need and the love of craft. The master won, though it turned out the top was a dead end, leading straight to oblivion. No one can escape the straightforward claims of the makers, the rule of the here below. The king stands at the pleasure of those who swore to go on and on with the game. He tells himself it's love that keeps them swarming there in the sun and rain, elbowing and shoving for a closer look. But he knows that what they want is the tooth and nail of him, that the push and prop of his image can occupy the top for just a while. There behind the blind waiting, the assassin has his reason, but it's never just his own. And the worst harm comes from the innocents who never see the harm at all. The crooked made straight, the mad the font of reason, the prophets at last gone blind. The bloated carp rose to the top of the stream, and the rowers pushed them under again with a shove. The fishermen swore with the sun in their eyes that below the dam the wheel of the old mill still turned. What you want is what you get, they said. And what we wanted was to find the meadow and everyone unharmed. The farmers came running for the top, frantic and clanging with shovel and axe, cockamamie heedless straight through the gardens, scattering the love nests of the larks and plovers. They swore they would push away the past. Their reason was impatient, swirling there below their best intentions. Father or son, son and father, either way, they were blind to the particulars, and all in all blind to consequence. To stop too soon is to want to stop wanting. The hunters have their cunning reason and go about their work by stealth. Straight as their arrows, they aim for death, though love is what closes the distance. Show the trophy high on the wall, swear to the courage of the hunters hunted. The top of the mast, pushed deep in the dirt, flies a flag that declares the end of harm. But the orphans lie sleeping in the meadow below and will rise up in fury with the sun. In the end, love, it's only one or two standing there beneath the sun, surrounded by silence. The blind light blanketing the hill retreats and returns oblivious. Love turns the world and brings it ill or harm. We guessed there'd be plenty and then empty straits, and both would set the whirligigging top a spin. We didn't need a better reason than that to join the push of generations. The want for the future drove us on, then shoved us back to the past. All the while the meadow waited below. Within the locket, it's the image our hearts wore. We had promised, we swore on a book. In that sun-dappled wood, all faith was blind. The little boat rolled through the streets and inlets, intent, unswerving toward home. No other reason was necessary. Now here below in the something ever after, I've had at the top of my thoughts a thought of love, the shape it had before it turned to harm. And what I wanted is to return to the source, the first push before the fulcrum shove. The trail to the top of the hill meandered, a lark hovered, shadowing the clover below. And the hunter's blind was in the end abandoned. Everything that seemed worth wanting could slowly flower like a weed into harm. Still, the mind can straighten its own path. The reason has a nature sworn to truth. A final push is waiting. Its patience is a synonym for love. The king was an idol. There's only the daylight glinting there beneath the sun. My mother's garden. I lost my copper key in my mother's garden. I lost my silver knife staring at a cloud. I found my wooden boat hiding in the rushes. I found my wishing stone hiding in my shoe. I lost my copper key hiding in the rushes. I found my wooden boat staring at a cloud. I found my wishing stone in my mother's garden. I lost my memory when I learned to whistle. If you find my silver knife, hide it in a stone. The green. Once you were grieving and it came to you on the white air. It was a space beneath the leaves where they gathered, in the majesty of their little festivals. They begin and end in an unending music. Their temple floor is made of moss. See the cleft in the rock that opens and closes at will like a mouth. See it through the green that fills the white air. Something is coming toward us, consoling and of another order. There is the space the birds know, though we are just beginning. There is something the birds know and sing of without end. Once you were grieving in the white air, you will not grieve like that again. Yeah, I think I'll read one of the Elements poems from Columbarium, the first one, and that will be that. Okay. Sung from the generation of air. or vacancy, what memory can sing before there is memory, a breath sent into being before a being draws in and out its breath, in darkness, when being confettied is not yet mote, not beam, not remnant of cloud, a thin thread of motion gathering weight in weightless space. There loneliness leaned into nothing, fell into the world, and was the first of all things falling toward falling. How the stillness turned and whistled, and the whistle was in the wind, and a pod released and rattled, flew spilled, then filled with air. A part of air in urgency, a boundary made by bursting, what we call the winding of the wind. The ear is a drum and cavern that will not close against the world, and so we build our houses where the wind cannot enter at will. Blow the house down, stall the ship. The wind, our enemy, runs toward us in the night or withholds at daybreak for days on end. I woke to wonder, what if the wind were evil, the force of an incessant pain? Unbind, unwind the four winds, without them no direction. Yet air is the element most bearable to every mortal thing. The flight. Snatched away, the paper lands flat at first, clings to the cement, the smooth side friction locked to the pitted surface for a second, then lifted by a corner, then swirling, then dipping, flush against the steel of a car door, then flying off toward a branch, snagged, unsnagged, sailing. On one side, the answers were traced so carefully, capitals and small letters, peaks and valleys, a black pen tacking between the blue lines. Forget the answers, and then the test, and then the paper, and then the sidewalk, and then the tree, and then the sky. This is the order of forgetting, the one you already know by heart. It is neither evil nor good, as things are neither here nor there when they fly. Whisper. A whisper within an ordinary parting. A sigh nesting in a word, it comes inside another breeze, warmer, softly, to touch your cheek or shoulder, lighting down as down does, and doesn't, and does again. What was it? You will ask yourself, and you will ask again, until asking itself is like a caress, nothing, then something, and nothing again there in the clear as day. But something meant. What was it? The memory of happiness in a time of misery. Like starlings in winter, the wind beating against their beating wings, the air numb and mutely blank, a whiteness tumbling the dead leaves, they too whirled like dead leaves, torqued one way then another for the sake of each other, even in death joined by their scattered dove-like gliding, two heads bowed above a page, the lamp sputtered, flickered, sparked in the deafening silence. The ear is a drum, a cavern that will not close against the voice of the beloved, and the eye has a door that can bar a whirlwind, a sanctuary shut to its harm. Scirocco, hot dust breaking in the mouth, dumb the tongue mute to reason cause, an eye held open to see not seeing, furled the thought dried to powdery sense, one way then another for the sake of each other, even in death joined by mistaken heaven's playthings, God's needless, mindless of consequence, three heads bowed above a page, an olive strip bare of its silver, and a hill strip bare of its tree, barren, random, an iron lung bellowing, a dark cup thrown into the flames, draw a clearing around the heart, so it might breathe freely again. The Survival of Icarus. My father saw the feathers on the waves and grieved, and hadn't heard the voice within the wind that blew the wax back into form the way the cold dawn shapes the candle's foam. I had heard that voice before, in some far time beyond this place, and I think of it now as a living net, though I do not know how it spans our world, or if it sings from its strings or its spaces. Listen. In a golden field alone, lone, the quick dust whirling, hurling, eyes burning, burning tears. Where was the other? Gone one and unknowing. No one, nay, could answer. Crying ring there in desolation, solation, forgotten, gotten, Forsaken, saken, for pity, pity, forbear, be air. Thank you.